Well, guys, man, we got some breaking news out of Cleveland reported by Adam Scheffner. Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns named Joe Flacco the starter for week one. What does that mean for Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, and Kenny Pickett? We're going to unpack all that here next, here on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Well, guys, man, the news broke earlier that the Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski are naming Joe Flacco for their week one starter, which to me, this is really not even breaking news. We knew this was going to happen. Kevin Stefanski, he been trying to fool us. And I've always said you got to stop fooling yourself because you're not fooling me. We already knew Cleveland was going to name Joe Flacco week one starter. We know Joe Flacco, 40 years old. But do you really give the keys to two rookies? But Kevin Stefanski got to stop playing in our face. He got to stop playing in our face about Shedeur Sanders. It's time to elevate Shedeur Sanders. It's time to move Shedeur Sanders up. We want to see what the depth chart is going to look like. We know that Joe Flacco is the week one starter, but what is that depth chart looking like? Now, we haven't seen Joe Flacco in the preseason in 2 games. We haven't seen Kenny Pickett. Now, a lot of people say Kenny Pickett might be on the outside looking in. Kenny Pickett might be one of the quarterbacks that might get waived off of that roster. I don't know what they're going to do with Tyler Huntley. They brought Tyler Huntley in when Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett couldn't play in preseason, so they needed a serviceable backup, and they brought Tyler Huntley in. So that had 5 quarterbacks on the roster. But at this particular time, Kevin Stefanski has to stop playing in our face, man. He has to stop playing in our face about Shedeur Sanders. What Shedeur Sanders did in his first preseason game in Carolina says a lot, because when he played against Carolina, Carolina started their first string defense for the first 2 possessions, and Shedeur Sanders boded well. Now, when Dylan Gabriel took the field against the Philadelphia Eagles, he was playing against 3rd and 4th and 5th string guys. And like I've always said, to me, Shedeur Sanders did more with less. And then Dylan Gabriel did less with more. The protection of the offense was a dip and dunk offense for Dylan Gabriel. But like a lot of people said, I did a video yesterday about, the protection of Dylan Gabriel. Where when he got out off script, he looked rattled. When he threw the pick 6, after the pick 6, he didn't play too well going down the stretch from there. They took him out in the 3rd quarter. He made some controversial statements on his sideline interview at the end of the 3rd quarter, which caught everybody's attention. Like he was taking a shot at Shedeur Sanders, talking about there's entertainers and there's competitor, and he's a competitor. So he was referencing to Shedeur Sanders as an entertainer. And then he tried to walk it back in the post-game press conference. But you should have never made that statement, because we all know your ex-college coach in Oregon, and you was part of that team that faced the Colorado Buffaloes, and Shedeur Sanders was part of that team. Y'all came out and made it abundantly clear that y'all are here to win games and win a championship. Y'all not doing it for clicks and views. So that resonates heavy with a lot of people. And then we looked at your performance against the Philadelphia Eagles versus the performance that Shedeur had with the Carolina Panthers. And now it's time to elevate Shedeur Sanders over Dylan Brooks. A lot of reports out there. Dylan Gabriel, I'm sorry. There's a lot of reports out there that are saying that Shedeur Sanders is much better than Dylan Gabriel. He'll fit this team better. His pocket presence, he don't have happy feet. His IQ, he goes through his progressions. They was talking about Dylan Gabriel, his progressions on Saturday, he didn't go through his progressions. He was just, taking what was available, the quick dump off, getting the ball out quick, which he started out on fire, 4 for 4, marched down on, a 60-play drive, marched down and got him, a touchdown on a handoff. But Shedeur Sanders' overall pocket presence, arm strength, and throwing the ball downfield is much better than Dylan Gabriel. And Kevin Stefanski has to stop playing in our face. And we're going to get off into the breaking news that Adam Schefter reported earlier. But before we do that, we partnered up with Underdog Fantasy. And this is a word from our sponsor.
Underdog Fantasy is the best way to play fantasy sports. Let me tell you about the easiest way to get in on some WNBA and NBA action. Find your player, pick higher or lower, win you some extra cash. Pick between 2 to 5 players to fill out your pick'em entry, get every pick right, and win some serious cash. Use my promo code SBD23 and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now that it's football time, follow Simply Ball Dropping as I share my picks. Like I said, pick your player, choose your amount, win money. Make picks, win cash. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for the partnership with us. And thank you for using promo code SBD23 on Underdog Fantasy.
Guys, and remember, when you sign up, use my promo code SBD23. And for first-time deposits, you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And that'll let me know that you really support this channel. Now, let's get off into what Adam Schefter broke on the news of Joe Flacco being named the Week 1 starter in Cleveland. It said, Adam Schefter, sources, Browns are naming Joe Flacco as the Week 1 starting quarterback versus Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I have a little issue with Kevin Stefanski because he just came out yesterday and said he won't make his decision until later on in the week, going into their last preseason game against the Rams. So that's letting you guys know that Kevin Stefanski already had his mind made up that Joe Flacco was going to be the starting quarterback. That's why I said Kevin Stefanski is playing in our face about Shedeur Sanders. We all know Shedeur Sanders is the better quarterback over Dylan Gabriel, but we all knew that Joe Flacco was going to be the Week 1 starter. So Kevin Stefanski should have just came out and said that. There was no decision to make. There was no talks that you needed to make with the players or your coaching staff or the general manager or the owner. We already knew Flacco was going to be the starting quarterback. Our thing is, where are y'all putting Shedeur at? What does this mean for Shedeur Sanders? Now, if you look at the stats on Shedeur against the Carolina Panthers, numbers speak for themselves. Men lie, women lie, stats don't. Shedeur Sanders was 14 of 23 for 138 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a QB rating of 106.8. Then you look at Dylan Gabriel against the Philadelphia Eagles, 13 of 18, 143, no passing touchdowns. He had that 1 interception, which was a pick 6, passer rating of 72.2. Also, the missed handoff with the running back, which they put the fumble on him. You can't have turnovers in the NFL and expect to win games in the regular season. Now, looking at these numbers, we all can say that Shedeur Sanders had the better outing, and he was thrust in against the Carolina Panthers because Dylan Gabriel was hampered by a hamstring. Kenny Pickett is injured, and Joe Flacco, I don't know what the issue is with Joe Flacco, but Shedeur Sanders was forced out there, and Shedeur Sanders showed out. So in this situation, I'm looking at Kevin Stefanski, and I'm like saying to myself, like, man, you got to stop playing in our face about Shedeur. Has Shedeur elevated himself over Dylan Gabriel? Now, you said that you had to get with your coaching staff and the players to make a decision on Joe Flacco, which you already had that decision made. So where is Shedeur ranked at in all this? What's his position? Is he going to be moved up to second on the depth chart, which I think he should, because we don't know what they're going to do with Kenny Pickett? I think Kenny Pickett might be the one that's, like I said earlier, on the outside looking in. He might get waived. What is this quarterback depth chart going to look like next? Is that going to be the next breaking news? You guys, let me know what y'all think about today's video down in the comment section. Do y'all think that Kevin Stefanski is still playing in our face about Shedeur, even though we knew Joe Flacco was going to be the starting quarterback? What does this mean for Shedeur Sanders? I see everybody in the comment section, #salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.